Hello. So, I was assembling gear for my 500D Ignite Elementalist video, and one of the crafts turned out so involved that I have decided to put it into a separate video. So, here it is. Enjoy! The first step of this craft is actually acquiring the Grasping Mail with the 50% global defense mod. Make sure it's not fractured. Next, I wanted to isolate the 50% global defense mod. For that, I head into the bestiary and do the triple split. Next, we imprint the Grasping Mail in case something goes wrong with our slamming. Next, we want to create a Grasping Mail that has 3 suffixes, it doesn't matter which suffixes they are, and 2 prefixes that cannot naturally occur on the Twilight Regalia. One being increased global defenses, which I'm trying to transfer, and the second I for some reason chose to be a fractured mod. I did this first step very inefficiently, in part due to the fact that this was my first craft like that. In hindsight, I should have just isolated the Chayula's prefix, filled the suffixes, and then influenced Exalt Slam. That way, I would have a perfect base for transferring. Next up, I buy the base I want this mod to be in. In my case, this is 26 quality Twilight Regalia, non-fractured, non-split. And at this point in the craft, I'm doing some sort of nonsense by filling the affixes. There is a cool property of recombinators that if there are 2 prefixes present in the pool, it's guaranteed to pick one, and I'm doing some shenanigans instead of just slamming away an empty Val Regalia with a Grasping Mail, and in that case, it would have guaranteed the fucking mod on the Twilight Regalia if it picked it. I, on the other hand, am trying to roll it for some ungodly reason. And once again, for some ungodly reason, I have won this. I by no means should have. This should have been a loss, but I guess you just get lucky. I will now put on the screen an example of Grasping Mail that should have went into Recomb. As you can see, filled suffixes. Once again, it doesn't matter what they are. Global defense mod that we want to transfer, and a single influence mod, which wouldn't be able to occur on the base Twilight Regalia. And here is the example of the Twilight Regalia that should have gone into Recombinator. A literal empty item. I will now try to explain what happened to the best of my ability. So, we have item 1 and item 2. They both get thrown into the Recombinator. What happens at this point? Our items are split into suffixes and prefixes. And those suffixes and prefixes are thrown into the giant pool. So, for example, for our prefixes, we have 50% mod, and this is the mod we want, and an influenced mod. For suffixes, we don't really care about them, so I'll just mark them with suffix 1, suffix 2, suffix 3, suffix 4, suffix 5, and it goes down, but that's okay, and suffix 6. So those are 2 separate pools. What's happening now? The game will count however many mods we have in our pool. In this case, we have 8 mods. And depending on how much mods we have in our pool, it will determine the total amount of modifiers on our output item. With 8 mods in the pool, our output item will have at least 4 mods. So it has to pick 3 of the prefixes, any of those prefixes, and 1 suffix, which, in case the recombinator picks Twilight Regalia as a final item, it cannot pick the influence mod. So if it picks the Twilight Regalia, it is guaranteed to have a 50% mod. Something like that. I am not good with recombinators yet, so please forgive me if some of that information is incorrect. Next up, my job is to isolate that prefix so that I can craft the suffixes. To do that, I have annulled all the suffixes and had an item with 2 prefixes remaining. After that, it's as easy as doing the split beast. Next is the step that confuses the most people, including me, the most. From this point, it is actually you are actually 100% guaranteed to hit the fracture sooner or later. The only thing that goes away is bases. To prepare for fracturing the item, we have to have the isolated prefix, global defenses, plus 3 random suffixes. It doesn't matter what they are. I'm making an imprint here in case the regal orb that I'm gonna use is gonna hit prefix. In that case, we have to imprint back until the regal orb hits the suffix. Now, all that's left is to fill suffixes with Eldrich currency and hit the fracturing orb. Oh no! The fracturing orb didn't hit, now it's a brick. We gotta start over. Psych? It's actually completely deterministic to recomb this modifier onto another Twilight Regalia. Check out how I did this. To rescue this modifier from the fractured base, we are using the same method that we used to transfer the global defense modifiers. But in this case, instead of the influence mode being the non-native one, we are using essences to apply evasion rating to Twilight Regalia. As any self-respecting PoE player knows, evasion rating cannot naturally spawn on Twilight Regalia. So by recombing those two, there are only two prefixes, it has to pick one, and the one that it picks is always the 50% mod. At this point in the craft we have 3 identical by their identity Twilight Regalias, 1 non-native mod, evasion rating, and 3 random suffixes, which don't matter. And it is at this point it is time to shove those things into the combinator. 2 things can happen here. One, the fracture mods gets eaten and doesn't exist anymore, in which case we can try to fracture again. Or, if the fracture mod persists, we have to slam recomb those again. Make sure you have the filled suffixes, because there are cases when the output item can only have 2 suffixes, and in that case you can fuck up your item. And would you look at that, this item has only 2 suffixes. I need to go ahead and craft another suffix so that the next recomb is guaranteed to keep the 3 suffixes 1 prefixes identity. And just like that, the most confusing part of the craft is over. From this point onwards, it is actually pretty straightforward. I'm going to be spamming the hell out of dense fossils to get tier 2, tier 1 defense affixes. I messed up with the item level and it got eaten in the process of recombination. Besides dense fossil spamming, I'm also utilizing Reforge more likely from Harvest when there are percent AS and plat AS present on the item, and annulling when there is only 1 affix I want. So for example, if I hit tier 1 flat AS, I'm gonna try and annul the other prefixes and slam with the regular Exalted Orb. The output item should be item level 86, in my case it is only item level 85. That means I cannot hit tier 1 defensive affixes. The tier 1 percent energy shield only rolls on item level 86 basis, but oh well. In the end I managed to get tier 1 flat and tier 2 percentage energy shield. It took a total of about half an hour of dense fossil spamming and about 30 divines in currency, I believe. I think I got slightly unlucky on that. Now for the suffixes. To craft them, I'm going to be using exclusively Eldrich currency, and I'm looking for tier 1, tier 2 res. Like I said, I don't really care for suffixes. And finishing those double res suffixes is as simple as crafting attributes on bench. Next, let's show this body armor some love and tailoring orbit for defenses and sacred orbit. Next on the line, Eldrich implicits, and truly, there is nothing special here. I'm going for maximum lightning res for the dissolution setup on the ether, and no, the lightning res is Exarch, lightning res on the Exarch, and damage taken as chaos on the ether for the CI mitigation. And one last finishing touch, Divine Orb. My percentage rolls are whatever, so let's fix that. And this is how I crafted this body armor. I hope you find it interesting, maybe even useful. This was my first real Recomb craft, so there were some mistakes, which I truly am sorry for. I would redo some of those mistakes and put actually useful footage in the video, but I'm broke. I'm completely broke, there is no way I can afford another one of those. I hope you enjoyed this short video, and I guess see you in my 500 The Elementalist video? Eh?